Hello everyone, welcome to A Merry Little Christmas Part 2. If you're watching Part 2, hopefully that means you got Part 1 done and that was all of the cutting. So now you're ready to go on and start to sew it together. We did have a little glitch in the instructions that I wrote up for your little berry squares. I told you to cut 3 4.5-inch by width of fabric strips and then subcut them into 4, and on my instructions I said 4 1/4, but it actually should have been 4.5-inch squares. If you cut 4 1/4-inch squares, they're going to be too small. I'm sorry, I screwed up. So if you run out of fabric, you just let me know. We have more. We got you covered. We're a fabric store. We got fabric by the yard, fabric by the bolts. We got fabric everywhere. So we have some more of this fabric. We can help you out. No problem. So 4.5-inch squares on these, not 4 1/4, okay? Okay, so hopefully you got that email that I sent out and everything is cut and happy and copacetic. See, life is good. It's all okay. No problem. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take those red 4 3/4-inch squares and you're going to cut them, or you're not going to cut them, you're going to draw a line diagonally from one corner to the next. Okay, you know how to do that. Yes, all 98. 98 lines. I use my Racine pen, and I actually use my quilter's magic wand, and I lay this from one, it's kind of hard to see because it's transparent, but I lay it from one point to the next point, and then I draw a line. And I use my Racine pen to draw that line. Okie dokie, so that's your first step. Get my cat out of the way. Okay, then we're going to start making your flying geese blocks. You're gonna make 2 different kinds of flying geese blocks. You will use diagram 4 and 5, 6 and 7 to make these, okay? And so use the instructions on how to make a flying goose block or geese block and use those instructions and make your flying geese blocks. So that's going to take you maybe 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, come back and I'll show you how to square them up. Okay, I know it's going to take you longer than 5 minutes. So you're going to be making, so you're going to take your cream rectangles. You're going to take, you made 25 cream rectangles. I got a little square stuck to me. And you made 25 berry rectangles. You're going to take one of each of those rectangles and set them aside. Then you're going to take and make flying geese out of the remaining 24 berry and red plaid pieces, and you're going to make 24 cream and red plaid flying geese. Okay, so you can use the instructions on how to make a flying goose block using diagram 4, 5, 6 tells you what size to cut them, or yeah, 6 tells you what size to cut them down to, and you're going to cut them down to that size, but I'm going to show you exactly how to cut them down so they're perfect. Okay, so once you make your flying goose blocks, come back and I will demonstrate how to cut them down to size. Okay, 24 cream and red plaid and 24 berry and red plaid. Okay, you've set aside 1 cream 4 3/4 by 8 3/4-inch rectangle and 1 berry 4 3/4 by 8 3/4-inch rectangle. Okay, well, go get to work and then come back and I will show you how to cut them down. Okay, excellent. See you in a few minutes. Bye. Okay, now you have cut, or you've put together all of your flying geese blocks. Whew. I started with this part because this is probably the most labor intensive. Once you get this part done, the rest goes together pretty quickly and pretty easily. So now you're like, okay, now how do I cut these down? Because the hardest thing to know is how much to cut off of where. So I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly and very easily, except that I don't have my ruler, so I'm going to go off screen and come back. Okay, hang on one second. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. You've got it. Okay, the ruler that you really, really want to use is, I'm holding it up as close as I can, is the 4.5 inch by 8.5 inch ruler. Why do you want to use this ruler? Because 4.5, yes, Marley, by 8.5 inches is exactly the size of your flying geese blocks. Oh, all of them. The berry and the red plaid, as well as the cream and the red plaid. So this is the ruler that you want to use. Yes, we have them at the store. And if you're taking this class, let the girls know and you'll get 20% off of this ruler. How about that? Hey, that's a great deal. So 4.5 by 8.5 inch creative grid ruler. The first thing you're going to do is take your flying geese block and you're going to lay it down in front of you so that the block looks like, so when you look down, you see a V. Okay, so here's both of your seams coming down to a point in a V, and you're looking at a V. Look at your creative grid 4.5 by 8.5 inch ruler, and I call it a teepee, but it's also a little black line that comes all the way through your ruler that ends up looking like a teepee because that little X that you see is right at the 1/4 inch. You're going to lay that black little teepee right down on your seams. The seam line between the red plaid and the cream or the cream berry. So that should line up right along your little V. The V in the ruler lines up with the V on your block. You will then cut whatever fabric is left on the right side and along the top. Okay, that little X at the bottom should line up right with the V point on your block. Okay, so you're going to cut the right side and across the top. You will then turn your block so that the nice cut edge is now on the left and along the bottom. Then you will just lay your ruler right back down, line it up with the left edge and along the bottom, and trim the right side and along the top. Now it is exactly 4.5 by 8.5, and you have exactly 1/4 inch from that V point to the edge of your fabric. And look, people always say, well, you waste so much fabric when you do this. Look at this, is all the fabric that I've wasted. Hardly anything. But that little bit that you waste is exactly what you need to get everything perfect and beautiful. So it's always hard to know what to cut and where. So I always start out by laying my blocks so they look like a V. Then I lay my ruler down. And I'll lay like 3 or 4 of them out. And then I'll just lay my ruler down, cut the right side, cut across the top, lay my ruler down, cut across. Yeah, because the thing that I see a lot of people doing is they're going like this to their ruler and they don't know how to go. If you have a V, if you're looking at the V in the ruler, you're looking at the V on the block, you line those up. And you just keep going right along till you get them all cut out. It's so much better, and everything will be perfect and it will be beautiful. So you're going to trim down all of your berry and red and cream and red flying geese blocks, and you're going to cut them all down to 4.5 by 8.5. Okie dokie, you can do it. Okay, so go do that, then come back. Wait, there's more. Then the fun really starts. You won't believe it. It's so cool. And this is turning out so cute. I can't even believe it. I can't wait to get on to the next part. So hurry up. Get that done and come back. Okay. Alrighty, now you've got that part done. And now we're going to start to put those blocks together. So what we are going to do is start out by taking, I started with my cream ones. And you're going to make your big, beautiful blocks. Look at how great these are. Look at how beautiful they are. So cool. And yours are going to look just this good. Alrighty, so you're going to take your cream and plaid flying geese blocks. You're going to take your 4.5 inch cream squares, and you're going to take 5 of your panel pieces that you've cut down to 8.5 inches, and you're going to start sewing those together. So I started with, and I don't think I have a cream one that's undone. I thought I had a cream one that's undone. I probably do somewhere. Nope, I don't. But the cream go together exactly the same way as the berries. So on either side of your panel block, you're going to put flying geese on either side of those. And then you'll bake 2 strips with a flying geese in the center and 2 4.5 inch squares on either side. These are pressed towards the squares. This is pressed toward your square in the center. Okay, so you're going to make 2 of these. So you've got one here and you've got one here. Alrighty, then you're going to sew those to the top and to the bottom. Oh, here's my other one that's not done. Here's my other one. So then you're going to sew these actually to the top and bottom of your center blocks. So you're going to do that with all of these. So what you're going to do is make 5 cream and red berry blocks, no, cream and red plaid blocks, and 4 of the red and berry ones. So you're going to end up with 4 of these, okay? And you're going to end up with 5 of these, okay? So then you're still going to have, oops. So then you're still going to have, so you're done with that. Set those all aside, get them nice and pressed. They're all going to be beautiful. You're going to love them. You can choose any of the little panel pieces to go in any of the blocks you want. I kind of looked at the picture and did it the way the picture showed. Okay, so I lined up the berry ones with the ones that they had berries with, and the plain ones with the ones that they had plain ones. It doesn't matter. It's your quilt. You can mix them up and match them any way you want. So that's going to be done. So go and do that, and then come back. Because wait, there's more. Alrighty, so I'm going to set all this stuff aside because now we have all of those nice big blocks all done and ready to go. And you don't have to do any more trimming since you trimmed those 4 3/4 by 8.5 inch flying geese blocks perfectly down to 4.5 by 8.5. Everything should fit together really, really nice, and there shouldn't be any more trimming that you need to do because everything is pretty exact by that point. All right, so now you have left over that one lonely cream block, 4 3/4 by 8 3/4 inch rectangle, and that one cream 4 3/4 by 8 3/4 inch rectangle. From this, you're going to make a half flying geese block. Which all that means is you're just going to put a square on one side, do it diagonally, cut and trim. So this is what they're going to look like. And I'm going to put up a picture, and these, because I'm going to set them down. So your plaid pieces, your plaid squares are going to go on the right-hand side of your block. Don't put them on the left-hand side. Later on, you will not be happy. Trust me. You'll be saying all kinds of bad words, and that's never fun. Make sure that you put your blocks on the right-hand side. So I'm showing you a picture so that you can see exactly how that's supposed to look. So you'll make those half flying geese blocks. You'll trim them down to 4.5 by 8.5 like you did on the other ones, except you're just going to line up your little V or your teepee right to one side of that V and trim it like you did all the other ones. So you're going to make those 2, and then you're just going to use those for a little while yet. In the next video, you'll use them in the next video, but now you have them done and they're ready to go for later. So you're going to set those aside. Okay, so that only took you a minute to do. So I know you're back. I know you're back with me already. So I'm still kind of putting away all of my other little parts. So you are going to, when you're done doing all of that, you will have berry and red plaid flying geese left and berry and cream flying geese left. You should have 8 berry and 4 cream left over when you're done. Hope that's what you got. But you'll be okay. So 8 berry and 4 cream. Okay? Set those aside. You're going to use those in a little while. They're not going to go to waste. Now we're going to talk about this next block a little bit, because here's where I diverted from the instructions. Because let me tell you, we're going to make these really pretty center blocks, and you're going to make 3 of these. What she wanted you to do was make like another flying goose, really little flying goose with this white plaid and cream. And she wanted you to make like just this little star block, just like this, and then add a strip of fabric going all the way around it to make it 8.5 inches. Well, that's kind of goofy. I mean, it's a lot. It's extra, number 1, extra cutting. Number 2, working with a very small flying goose block. And number 3, you're going to have all of these extra seams. You'll have an extra seam going all the way around this block. So what I did is I made a much cleaner block where you're just going to have one. You're just going to make one thing. Very, very simple. And I didn't tell you to cut this yet because in theory it was supposed to work, but until you do it, you're not really sure. So I didn't tell you to cut it out, especially since we kind of have kits and there is extra, but if I tell you wrong again, you're going to be upset. So this is what you're going to have to go back to the cutting table, get out your cream fabric, and you are going to cut, and I put this in instructions in the email to you. So if you didn't get it, holler, I'll send it to you. So you're going to cut 2 strips of 3.5 by width of fabric of your cream, and you're still going to have plenty left over. I measured it, and I had, I think, a little over a yard of the cream left, and in the end we need 28 inches just to do that inner border to float everything inside of your outer border. So you still got plenty. You're good. So in fact, because we're making fewer seams and making fewer cuts, theoretically, it should work. But you know, until you try it and you actually do it, you're not sure. So I'm telling you, it's going to work. So 24 3.5-inch squares you're going to need. So those squares are going to be your cream, and they're going to go here all the way around. Okay, so you're doing 3 of these, and you need 8 for each square. 3 times 8, 24. Okay, so 2 3.5 by width of fabric strips of your cream, cut them in half to 3.5-inch squares. So you're going to take your 2 1/4. I had you cut these little guys 2 1/4. I'm sorry, I'm going to send you back to the cutting table. You're going to cut these down to 2 inches. Okay, you need them to be 2 inches. Better to be too big and trim them down than to be too small and maybe not have enough fabric. So I wasn't sure that was going to work. It was going to work. So 2 inches, and you're going to have, I want to say, we're doing 3 of these times 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, so 24 of these. So cut those 2 1/4-inch squares down to 2 inches. Okie dokie. Then you're going to take your squares and you're going to lay your little plaid square on the corner of one of you're going to actually back up 1/2 a second, take and draw a diagonal line on all of your little plaid pieces. Okay? Then you will lay 1 square on one side, stitch on that diagonal line, and flip, just like you would on a flying goose. So this is kind of an elongated flying goose, okay? So, or like half a snowball block. you know, so that kind of thing. So you're going to do that, trim, press towards the corner. Then you'll put your other little square down, stitch on the line, trim to 1/4 of an inch, and flip towards the corner. So you're going to make all 12 of those. You're going to make 12 of those. Okay? Then you're going to line them up with your nice 3.5 inch plaid square in the center and make your little 9-patch star. Super simple, super easy. So now you have less seams in this, and it just makes a much cleaner, prettier block than having another seam going all the way around this and then taking the chance of cutting one of those little star points off. You don't have to worry about that at all because it's all going to be just perfect. So you're going to make 3 of these, okay? 2 of them you're going to set aside for a while, and one of them you're going to pair up with your berry and red plaid flying geese and berry corners, and you're going to put one of these guys together. Oh, but one thing I do need to tell you, and one thing that's actually kind of nice with this, when you get done with this, it's going to be too big. So take your 8.5 inch square ruler, square creative grid ruler. Oh, don't have one? Guess what? Since you're taking the class, you can get one for 20% off at the store. How about that? Okay, so these blocks are actually going to be too big, and you're just going to lay this on here. And if you look at your ruler, you have a white line that goes all the way straight through, dividing that ruler in half horizontally and vertically. So I just run that white line right through the V of my flying geese points, and then that helps me to square that up perfectly. I trim up the right side across the top, flip it, trim up the right side and across the top, and they're absolutely perfect. They're exactly 8.5 inches, and that will match up with your flying geese blocks from the red and the cream and the red and the berries. So go do that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to do the tree and the video for the tree. So see you soon. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Call me, text me, email me, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions anytime. You can stop in the store and see me if something's not looking right, if you're not sure how to trim something and you don't want to trim it before we look at it. Stop in. I'm happy to help you out anytime. So have fun with this, and we'll see you in a couple days. Okay, thanks. See you soon. Bye-bye.